All right. Thank you. So we are making progress. We are making progress. This is our third section, and as such, Friday of next week will be our last section for this exercise or this event as well. So I'm sure people are still joining, or they will join later on, or probably follow the video via the internet. We've already talked about the most parts of these things, so you can also check the video for a playback. We cover most of these guys already. And the last time we talked was on a review paper, how to write a review paper. That was a discussion of the last time. We take a sample look of how a review paper is and what it takes to write a review paper. We also talk about libraries that you can go to find papers, be a review or just a single article, also books and every other things. You can also use the Google Scholar, which we explore. There are different databases around there. And how to write the abstract and what the abstract entails. We also talked about it the last time, and we talked about Copilot, and we also demonstrated how we can use Copilot for our research. But today we're going to focus on starting to write the review paper. So let's try to write a review paper today. There are things that we have to consider when we want to start writing our review paper. And one of them is having a clear topic. Clear in a sense that it's going to be narrowly enough to maintain a clear focus. You don't want to have a topic that is so broad or that can even have another topic generated from it. You want to have a topic that once you mention, it gives the reader that clear picture of what the entire paper is about. It's important because the field that you are going to read about, especially a review paper, you have tons of readers out there. You have tons of experts out there that are very good as well. So you don't want to overlook them, as well as you don't want to also overdo as well. So you want to strike a balance with your audience as well, because there are people they are dedicating their entire life to research. So they will just be out there reading papers, finding this and finding that. They want to take their entire time, their entire week and months, just studying your paper, critiquing it as well. So you want to know your audience so that you can have that better chance. And also consider to make your topic very, very clear. Let's take a look at this as our final project, and I hope that every one of us can be able to do it. And the last Friday, I'll open up the platform so that people can share their own version of it. This is our project. This is our project for this section or for this entire exercise. Okay, we're going to write a review paper, or basically just a meaning paper, just to give us an idea as to how this process can be started and how we can be able to structure the paper in a way that is journal acceptable. So this is something that I was just trying to do yesterday night. And this paper is what we are going to do. I'm going to share with Pastor, and probably he's going to share in the groups. Let me see if I can find a way to share it here. So we all are encouraged to go through it and then consider it as your final project. I'm sharing it in the chat box. You can also download it. Later on, I'm going to share with Pastor, and he will also share as well. So we can see our topic here, or our title for this paper, A Review on Mosaic in the Early Church. And you can see the authors. And for author number 1, the affiliation of the author here. And author number 2, the affiliation of this author is here. As well, we can also check other thing here, also to indicate, as you also be reading the paper, or probably some of you that will follow later on, I also indicated that we have to do the same paper and submit it as our final project. So you already know the different tools that you have to use to do different things. You already get an idea on how to start up the process. Today we're going to talk more about how to even write this paper, to show you where I wrote it and how we can write it, and then leaving you now with the chance to go and explore everything you have learned. Go and explore and do similar paper as like this one. So we also have a beautiful story here. I just randomly got this story from the internet as well, just to fast track it. But if you have a story that you want to tell, or maybe you have something important that you want to also include, you can also include it, increase the pages. That will also be great. But the essence is just to show you how to do sections, subsections, how to insert images into your work, and also how to partition the page. Most of the journals, we'll get to that shortly, will require you to have a double column page or paper. Some of them will require you to have a single column paper as well. And you can see the section 1 and then a subsection 1.1. Also, how to maybe use this, like you can see the T here, how to do it. Maybe you might be confused, or you might say, okay, I can use Microsoft Word to do that. So now let's see why we will be using this thing that we're going to be using. Now, before we get to that, let's also understand a few other things here as well. Thirdly, you have to choose the style of the review paper you want to write. There are different styles. Like, for example, we saw those review papers during the last section. You find they wrote it different ways. One was there written in a double column, another was written in a single column with different style as well. So you want to do that based on the journal. So before you publish the paper, you have to follow the journal format, or you have to read that journal format. Each of the journal has its own format or their own style. Some of them might require you to have the table labeled maybe in the middle, or it should be from the left. Just different things that they want to consider for their own journal or their own formatting. So you also want to take note of this. You are not just writing it the way you feel like. You are writing it based on the requirement of the journal. You are writing it based on the requirement of the journal. So before you publish the paper, you first go and find all of the journals you want to submit that paper to, but then it's also important that you can only submit to one journal at a time. If you submit to this journal and then probably they reject, then you can proceed to the next one. But you cannot submit everywhere. So there are other things you have to consider as well, like the acceptance rate of that journal. Probably if you want that paper to be published quickly, you also have to take note of the acceptance rate and as well. The content requirement, I think I told you guys the story the last time. There is a paper that we were working on, and that paper, it had 14 pages, but the journal that we were publishing on at the time said the page limit or your content requirement is from page 8 to 11. Anything above that, you have to pay, I think it was $20 or $50 for a single page. So you can imagine the cost attached for an additional page. So you want to stick in the range of that journal, but if you think you have so many things that you want to share with the world, you can also look for money to pay for the additional pages. You also want to look for previous reviews on the topic because you're going to read, especially a review paper, you're going to talk about a whole lot. Everything that have happened or that have been happening within that area of research for maybe the last maybe 10 years or maybe the last 5 years. So you want to have a review of that topic and using it as a springboard for your own review. Let's see this Connector paper. We talked about it also the last time, but let's see how they got work and probably how it can help us. So if you come here to Connector papers, you can also make use of this. Here you can see I made a search for this paper, image hiding in plain sight, deep steganography. So this is the paper, this one. But then you can see other papers that have cited this paper. So with this, you can, even if you want to read about this paper, you can also read other papers that are also citing this paper. Probably they are making modification to this paper, or they are also referencing the paper in different ways. And if you want to see also the title of them, for example, this guy in 2017, you can also get a summary of the paper on the right hand of this website. So you can use it, just put in the title of that paper, and it's going to give you every other paper that are related to it. That way you can know, probably have more citation or have more reference or the significance of that paper as well. It's very important and it's very useful. Okay, so quickly, let's move. You also want to use the latest references, as well as you don't want to discard historical facts, but you want to keep up with track with the latest development within that area of research. So your talk or discussion should not just be about things that have happened long time, but then you also have to know that since then, things have also improved. So you also want to get those latest materials to talk about them and see how best you can make an improvement. So today we're going to be using a system, a platform to write our paper, like what you saw that I shared also in the chat box and also show you previously. How we're going to use, how we're going to write that. Maybe for the most of us, we are Ochrome to Microsoft Word. That's good. If you want to go with the traditional style, that's also great. But then there is a powerful tool that we can use for our research writing, and it's highly acceptable and a standardized one as well. It's an online LaTeX editor that is easier to use with no installation and a real-time collaboration. version control, hundreds of LaTeX templates, and more. And that is called Overleaf. We're going to be using Overleaf to write our paper. And if you start to use Overleaf, it gives you an edge over a traditional researcher. It also gives a bigger picture of you whenever you are discussing with other people or whenever you are probably meeting your supervisor or your other colleagues and you are using this system is very, very useful. Overleaf is a collaborative cloud-based LaTeX editor used for writing, editing, publishing scientific documents. It partners with a wide range of scientific publishers to provide official journal LaTeX templates and direct submission link, of which you might not find in Microsoft Word. So let's try to get a view, a comparison between Overleaf and Microsoft Word. So for Overleaf and Microsoft Word, we can consider it based on the formatting and the type setting. So Overleaf is based on LaTeX, and Microsoft Word can sometimes lead to formatting inconsistency. For Overleaf, the format and everything is going to be intact. You don't have to keep worrying about that. Maybe you start at page 1 and then started with maybe no space or number space, and your writing style was Times New Roman. And then the other page, you move to Microsoft crossover, different font, different style. That inconsistency sometimes it becomes very, very tiring and boring, especially when you are writing a review paper with a lot of pages and words. Collaboration in real time, we talk about that shortly. You can also collaborate with other authors as well. Microsoft Word have a limited version of that because it's something that you have to install on your computer. And if you want other authors to collaborate with your paper, it's just a whole lot of process using Microsoft Word for this aspect on collaboration and real-time editing. The next thing is the version control and history. Overleaf provide version control. You can track changes as well. Compared to Microsoft Word, which lacks robust version control. For scientific and technical writing, Overleaf uses the LaTeX powerful type setting capabilities. So it allows you to focus more on the content without worrying about the layout. And also, you have a very powerful feature on the references and citation and all of that. The template and starting point, there are free templates you can use for article, for research, for theses, for CVs and all of that. Microsoft also have some of these templates, but they are not as compared to Overleaf. No installation required. For Microsoft Word, you will have to install Microsoft Office. It might be, maybe you are using Office 2021, another person is using Office 2016 or Office 2010. So the features that are in 2019 or 2021 will not be available in somebody that is using 2010 or 2016. So if you send your work to that person, there's going to be inconsistency like we talk about when it comes to the features. Like probably you need a person to do certain thing on your work, but that person don't have that features enabled because they're using a lower version or probably a higher version of Microsoft Word. Mathematical equations and symbols. Overleaf also have a very, very good one as well. LaTeX, Microsoft Word has as well. Like you can also incorporate other models like the math tab is another feature or another tool that you can incorporate into Microsoft Word if you want to use more mathematical equation. But Overleaf just gave you it on the go. Integration with other tools like GitHub. GitHub is basically, it's also part of the list of AI tools there. Many people just write their codes and then they put the codes there. So if you are maybe dealing with programming and all of that, it's a very good place you can go to get a code. Some people also publish their papers, and then if you want to find the code to that paper, maybe you want to make modification or you want to just study the paper, you can also go there and find the code for that paper. Some of the papers will tell you where to go and find the code. Most of the time it's going to be on GitHub. So you want to create an account with GitHub so that you can also get hold of some of the author's codes. Now let's try to take a demonstration or a demo of this to see how overleaf works. So let's move to our overleaf environment here. Okay, so in the beginning, you can just search for overleaf. In the beginning, you just open your Google browser and search for overleaf. And the first link that's going to come, you just create an account, a very easy step. Or you can sign up with your Google, which I just did quickly so that you don't have to go through typing names and all of that. You can just sign up with your Google or whatever email you have. They give you different options, or you just create your own account manually as well. So the first thing is, if you come here to this guy, you can download this paper as PDF after doing every other thing. And it also have some features that has been automatically turned on by default, like the autocomplete and auto close brackets and the code checks as well. Even spelling and grammar, they are also checked. Next thing is, how can we start this entire thing? Once you create a new project, Overleaf also have different templates. So probably you want to start up your project by using another template. Overleaf also have different templates you can use for your work. And then if you start in a blank project or you start in a blend work, it's just going to come up basically. Let me see if I can bring this page down. Just a minute. Let me do this quickly. So if you're just joining us, please, we have a final project and you want to make sure that you are following through with that. So once we start a new project or working with Overleaf, we can, at any point in time, here you can see this view is between the editor here and the PDF. So we have whatever we are writing here in the editor, we can also have a visual representation here on the right side here, giving us the full PDF of our work. We can see it in real time. For whatever you do here, you have to compile it or recompile it so that you can see the output here. But then as such, you can also click here on this drop down and you can turn the auto compilation on. So you don't have to keep going back and forth compiling it all the time. But it's important to know that whatever you do here, you have to compile so that you can see the latest changes here. And as such, you can also download the PDF directly from here after everything is said and done. So let's just see, try to understand what these things are doing so that we can also use it when we are doing our final project. You want to begin this entire thing by, I know probably some of us would be like, we are not very good at coding or programming. Is not complicated. We are just indicating just few lines or few things, and the rest of them, especially for writing the paragraphs and every other thing, that one is something you're just doing with the words and everything. But let's understand a few basic things that we need for our work, or things that we need basically for this, our project. And then once we do the project, now you can have a better understanding. You can start to explore more. So you want to go first with the document class. The document class will state if what you are doing is a CV, is a research stuff, is an article. So we are writing an article, so we have to specify here as our document type, class. And also you want to specify by default, the font is 10, but you can also increase that to 12. You can also use 11, 10, whatever you want. but let's go with the standardized one of using our font size to be 12. And the kind of paper we want to use, there are different papers like A4, letter. We have legal paper, we have A3. So you also want to specify the paper you want to go with. For American Standard, I think they use letter, but for most acceptable papers, it's A4. And then you also want to include different packages because some things you want to do, like for example, if you want to insert picture, like we have the picture here in our work, you want to use the graphics X package to insert a picture. So once you import this model or this package, now you can just start to use different or input different pictures. You don't have to worry about any other thing as well. This blank text, this package is just for you to put a dumb text, or maybe you just want to have a demo or you just want to show something, which is not very important because you already have your own text that you want to go with. So this one is probably not important. And if you want to make a comment, for example, you don't want to use this one, you just have to put that percentage sign at the beginning of that line, and then that will not be utilized. So you can see because I turned on the auto compile, so it was automatically compiling what I was doing there. But if you don't want to use a line or you just want to indicate, for example, you can see the description here for each of these things, what they are used for. So this is a comment. To put a comment, you just make sure you put this percentage, and everything after that percentage will be regarded as a comment. It will not take effect on your code or on your paper. The next thing is to import this package called multi-code. Multi-code means multi-column. That means, for example, if the author wants you to have a double column paper or page, then you have to import this model called multi-code. And then you can just move on by indicating if you want to use 3 columns, 4 columns, 2 columns. That one is up to you. If you want to add multiple authors, for example, you can see one of the authors here is MCC Family, another author is Olano in this work. So you can make use of this package as well. And also that you can see here, I have this big T here. If you want to also use that, you can make use of the lettering as well. And then for the page width and length, you also want to increase, like for what we have for this paper, I use the width here is 7 and the height here is 10 inches. So you want to use this package for that, the geometric package for that as well. Besides that, everything else should be okay, and you can start to proceed now with your writing. For example, you saw that, or you can see that the title of this paper is in bold. So if we want to make that bold and large, our title, we can also specify here in the curly brace that we want it to be large, and we also want to put the font that we want to use as the writing style. But then you want to indicate if you want to write a title, you have to specify that it is a title. And you can observe that almost everything that you be doing, you be using this backward slash. And once you put the backward slash, it will give you option. Like for example, you want to use package, you say use package. You already have the options that will be coming up. But when you say use package, if you press enter, it's going to take that first one, which package you want to use, and then you can specify the package. Once you start to tap, it's going to give you the option for that package. So it's not something that you have to do all over and again. The next thing is the author. You can specify as many authors as possible. Like for example, author number 1, you say author, and then in a bracket you put 1. Also here you have author number 2, also author 2, and then in a bracket you put 2. So author 1, you put the author name, and this thing here is just it is the one you see down here. If you check the PDF, this one you are seeing down here, this one is the thing. Maybe you want to give an acknowledgement, or you want to indicate like we indicated here, probably what this paper was, who published the paper, or probably who is the founder and everything about this paper. You want to also use this thing. And for this text IT means you want to make the text to be italic. If you observe here, the text is different from this one here. Is italic, meaning it's kind of a little bit leaning towards the right side. If you have been using even Microsoft Word, you also have italic there. And then you also want to add the author affiliation. So you can see here, the author is affiliated with Chang Chuan Christian Community, and the other author is affiliated with TIT. So you can add affiliation, and the affiliation will correspond with the author numbers. Like for example, author 1, so affiliation 1. And then everything else you want to do, or everything that we have talked about from here above, is called the preamble. So you want to also indicate everything, these everything's like the author and affiliation and everything, date and time. You want to put them in a preamble, like in the beginning. Also, if you have a constitution, the constitution also has a preamble as well. So it's the same preamble. And then you want to begin. So this begin here, everything you're going to be writing should be within this / begin. And if you check at the very end of this, you will see end document. So we begin the document. Here we end this document. Everything you're going to be writing, your figures, your tables, your everything should be in between this document. Now this make title, this line will, once you put this line, it's going to now show up like the author name and affiliation and everything that you type. This guy is going to show it in your document. And now you can proceed with section. So section introduction, like you can see here, introduction. So that's how we have the introduction here. And now with this introduction, you can also make the introduction bold. So BF, so like the text bold, you want to make this text bold. And you also want to make this text to be italic. And this text that you want to make bold and italic, you have to put it in a curly brace. So you can see here, submitted as your final project is in a curly brace. So we want to make this text bold and italic. So this is how we do it. In your final project, we also want you to do exactly as we did so that we know that you have already practiced these things. I think we're already out of time. So let me just move quickly. And then if you want to use underline, you can see here, for example, we underline the early church here. So you want to underline a specific word or sentences, you can use the underline and then just put it in a curly brace, the specific word or words you want to underline. And then for this capital T, before the cap T, we also have a subsection. So you can say subsection. The first one we had a section. This one we have a subsection. So subsection, that's why I indicated as 1.1. So as you keep going, keep adding subsections, it's going to be 1.1, 1.2 based on that. Now we added this one using the F box. So the F box here, you can also change it to different style so that we can have this cap T here as well with the drop cap T. And then you just proceed with your writing and every other thing here should be the same. For our column, we can also start and end our column here, our double column page. You can see here we begin the double column and we specify the number of columns we want to use for our paper. It's 2 columns, and then we proceed. So after that, you want to end it, because if you observe the paper here, we first have this double column going down, and then we have an image. After this image, we continue with the double column. You can also continue with a single column if you want to. For the image aspect, you want to also include the image. You can come here on the left side here and you click on this upper arrow, you can browse for the picture on your computer, or you can upload the entire picture folder that has all of your images, or you can use an extended URL, or you can just click and drag the image directly here to this spine on the left side here. So you can see the image name is church.jpg. So here you can see I indicated the name here, church. You don't have to put the extension. This is where you put the name. This one is just to label the image, but the main place you have to put the name is here. You don't have to put the extension. If you can also put the extension, church.jpg, and it's also going to give you the image. So the image here, you can add a caption to it. As you can see, an image of the LA church. We added a caption, so it will not come automatically as well. You can also increase the size of the image by either increasing or decreasing the centimeter here to increase the size of the image. So basically, that's all we need for our project. And I hope that we can be able to execute it. After you do everything, you can come here to layout and you can say, open this PDF in a separate tab if you want to see it actually. So that's all so far, and thank you so much for today. On next Friday, we will give you the chance to share whatever you have done. This is the final paper, and with this, it gives you the beginning to writing your research paper, especially using Overleaf, and you can proceed from there with whatever you have. So this is what you're going to be showing us. You either will share it in the chat box on Friday, or you can send to Pastor, and then probably he will send me, we'll review each of your work and see how best we can make adjustment or correction from there. This is your final project for this training. So thank you so much, and may God bless you.
Well, thank you so much.